Om. 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Vande Guru-paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Bella, I'll chant the chapter 7 today.
Yeah, please go ahead, Brahmaraji.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Saptamodhyayah Jnana Vijnana Yogaha Shri Bhagavanuvacha Maya Saktamana Patha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasi Tachrunu Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Vakshamya Sheshataha Yajñatva Neha Bhuyonyat Jnatavyamavashishyate Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschidhyatati Siddhaye Yatatamapi Siddhanam Kaschinmam Veti Tattvataha Bhumirapo Nalo Vayuhu Kham Mano Buddhirevacha Ahankara iti yamme Bhinna prakritirashtadha apareyamitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat etadyonini bhutani sarvani tyupadharaya aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhava pralayastadha Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva rasohamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoho pranava sarva vedeshu shabdah ke paurusham rishu Punyo gandha prithivyancha तेजश्चास्मि विभावसौ जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनम् बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहं बलं बलवतां चाहं कामरागविवर्जितं धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभा ये चैव सात्विका भावा राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः येभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम् दैवी ह्येषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते न मां दुष्कृतिनो मूढाः प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमाः माययापहृतज्ञाना आसुरं भावमाश्रिताः चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जनाः सुकृतिनोऽर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्तः एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च मम प्रियः उदाराः सर्व एवैते ज्ञानी त्वात्मैव मे मतम् आस्थितः स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम् बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेवः सर्वमिति समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्तेऽन्यदेवताः तं तं नियममास्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्तः श्रद्धयार्चितुमिच्छति तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहम् सतया श्रद्धया युक्तः तस्याराधनमीहते लभते च ततः कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धयः परं भावमजानन्तो ममाव्ययमनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम् वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि चार्जुन भविष्याणि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः जरामरणमोक्षाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्म तद्विदुः कृत्स्नम् अध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम् साधिभूताधिदैवं मां साधियज्ञं च ये विदुः प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः। ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ज्ञानविज्ञानयोगो नाम सप्तमोऽध्यायः। अथ अष्टमोऽध्यायः अक्षरपरब्रह्मयोगः। अर्जुन उवाच किं तद्ब्रह्म किमध्यात्मं किं कर्म पुरुषोत्तमा अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम् अधिदैवं किमुच्यते। ओम तत्सत्। I think I went a little ahead also, Bela, because there were only, I think, 3, 4, or 5, 6 shlokas left. But you can start from where we did yesterday, no? The shloka that we did.
Yeah, 24th it was, right? और वो आधे घंटे में शायद आधे घंटे में अभी वो ले लेना पड़ेगा मैं
No problem. I will take over, don't worry.
Yeah, I think
So Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, is that the one? Or Param Bhavama Janantaha?
Naham Prakasha.
Huh. Yeah, please go ahead.
Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritah Mudhoyam Nabhijanati Loko Mamajamavyayam. I am not recognized by everyone. A person completely covered by Yogamaya, Maya united with the three gunas, is deluded and does not know me properly as the one who is unborn and changeless. Alternate reading. I, completely covered by Maya, united with three gunas, am not recognized by everyone. A person is deluded and does not know me properly as the one who is unborn and changeless. Covered by Maya, not everyone recognizes Bhagavan. Na aham prakasha sarvasya. I am not known to all people. Na aham prakasha means I do not come to light. Even the people who see me now see only this boy from Vrindavan. They do not recognize me, Ishwara, at all. The Lord says, I cannot be known by all people. And Shankara adds here that the Lord can be seen only by certain bhaktas, certain seekers. This means Ishvara comes to light only for those who seek him and are qualified to recognize him, not to everyone. Why? People are covered by Maya, Lokaha, Yoga Maya Samavratah. Yoga, Shankara says, means the connection or tying together of the three gunas, that is Maya. By that Maya, united to the three gunas, they are covered. Previously, it was said that people are deluded by the three gunas. Tribihi, gunamayaihi, bhavaihi, ebihi, sarvam idam jagata mohitam. That is chapter 7, verse 13. I hope, Brahmaraji, my pronunciation was correct. Tribihi guna. As we saw, it is the product of the gunas that delude. Sattva accounts for happiness, Rajas for sorrow, and Tamas for dullness. By these, people are covered. Avrita means covered and Samavrita means totally covered. By this Yoga Maya, the three gunas and their products, people are totally covered. What is covered? The question is, what is covered? Suppose consciousness, Atma is covered, then you would not be able to know anything. There would be no world. That is, there will be Jagadandhya Prasanga. That is Jagat, the possibility of the world being absent for a person. You must know this expression. It is one that is used often in the Shastra. How would there be no world? If the eyes are obstructed, I cannot see. If the ears or any of the five sense organs are obstructed, they cannot perceive. Similarly, suppose consciousness is really obstructed by this yogamaya, then you will not perceive anything. The mind will not be able to observe the world. There would be Jagadandhya Prasanga. Jagadandhya means being blind to the world. This is contrary to our experience. We do experience the world, and consciousness is not covered by anything. That is why we are able to see, to hear, to think, even to say, I am a samsari and therefore a mumukshu. All this is possible because consciousness is never covered. Then what is covered? The verse says lokaha. Loka is defined as that by which something is known, experienced. Lokyate anena iti. If that is
Can you
so,
just repeat that again? The definition of
yeah,
loka?
yeah. Then what is covered? The verse says lokaha. Loka is defined as that by which something is known, experienced. Lokyate anena iti.
So, what is
Lok
this that Swamiji is talking about? He says the consciousness is not that which is covered. It is loka which is covered, right?
Lokyate
That,
anena.
huh, that which is to be known is covered. Correct? That is the meaning, isn't it? Loka is defined as that by which something is known, by which something is known, experienced. It is the unconditioned consciousness, Atmachay. Okay.
This word Swamiji has first time used, no? Lokaha.
Yeah, yeah,
Lokyate anena iti. Is
yeah.
it that the vision which is beyond the five senses? Can we say that? That is lokaha. Loka is defined as that by which something is known, experienced. Lokyate anena iti. If that is so, is it the unconditioned consciousness, Atma Chaitanya, or is it the consciousness conditioned as a knower, Parmatra Chaitanya, that is indicated by the word Loka? I repeat, if that is so, is it the unconditioned consciousness, Atma Chaitanya, or is it the consciousness conditioned as a knower, Parmatra Chaitanya? Pramatra, Kshamyatam, Pramatra Chaitanya. I'm really sorry. I read once again. If that is so, is it the unconditioned consciousness, Atma Chaitanya, or is it the consciousness conditioned as a knower, Pramatra Chaitanya? That is
Mm,
indicated by the word loka. Now it is clear. I was thinking Paramatra Chaitanya to Atma hi hai, पर
yeah.
यहाँ Pramatra, हाँ, which is beyond that those five senses, right, Pramaraji?
This one, Pramatra Chaitanya. I think this is what Dr. Savita was alluding to yesterday when she said, you'll understand this knower known object to be known if we read the chapter 6. So here it is the loka is that by which something is known.
Hmm.
So
You are
we
able to
have,
perceive the world.
yeah, we are able to perceive the world, but as of now we know ourselves to be the body mind sense thing. It is with this knower itself that you can know even the Atma Chaitanya. Manasa eva idam aptavyam is read, isn't it? So that
Yeah.
loka, that is what was covered, that knower, that the one that by which you know the truth, that is what is covered. It is not consciousness that is covered. Veil is over that knower, that pramatra chaitanya.
Yeah, that small I.
The small I, the jiva who is still considering himself as that alpajna or
Deha bhav.
whoever, deha bhav,
Yeah.
that is the one that is veiled by this yoga maya,
Ignorance. Yogama, correct.
ignorance, yoga maya, combination of the three gunas.
Because we are gunadhin. We are not
Yeah.
gunatita.
So that is the loka. Loka is defined as that by which something is known.
So beautiful. Yeah. So there is some. Can you explain again, Brahmaraji? Dr. Renu is asking.
Yeah.
Brahmaraji, can you explain again?
So the previous para says this yoga maya samavritaha, the combination of yoga maya along with the three gunas covers the consciousness, is what is mentioned, right? What is covered? So is it the consciousness that is covered? Consciousness cannot be covered. Then there will be jagadandhya prasanga. So there will be no world. The very fact that you are able to even read this, even see these words and listen to this is because of that consciousness. So if that consciousness itself is covered, then there will be that, what is the actual meaning of Jagadandhya Prasanga? The mind will not be able to observe the world. So there must be something else that is covered. And what is that is covered? That is the one that is covered is this loka. Lokaha is that by which something is known. That is the definition of loka. And what is that? It is not the Atma Chaitanya that they're talking of. It's not that Satchidananda Swarupa, the absolute consciousness is not what they're talking about. They're talking about the Pramatra Chaitanya. That is the consciousness which is conditioned as the knower. Right? That is you, me, everybody else.
Yeah.
The very fact that we are able to even understand this is because there is that light of consciousness behind us. But then we are not able to perceive ourselves, recognize ourselves as that Atma Chaitanya, because there is this veil, this Yoga Maya covering this so-called I, the knower, the small knower. So that is the Pramatra Chaitanya. That is the veil of ignorance that is covering this knower.
Wow. So beautiful.
Anyone
Like
else?
Swarup and Swabhava. We are more
Correct.
associated with Swabhava than the
Swabhava.
real Swabhava.
Yeah.
That's why Bhagwan is saying they look for me as Brindavan Bala. And that is we are still caught up in the Swabhava of Bhagwana rather than the real Swarupa, which is Ananta,
Correct.
which is Avyaya, which is
So,
Achyuta.
very correct. So based on the level of their preparation of their mind, the grosser one is, we will not even be able to recognize Ishvara. But the more refined you slowly start getting, then you become more prayerful, and then you slowly start seeing him as Krishna. But even when you get more and more refined, that is your Viveka, and Viveka becomes more and more established, then this thickness of wall that separates you and your understanding of Ishvara, recognizing Ishvara, that slowly starts thinning down, that veil or that barrier. And then for a jnani, who is ultimately, who merges with him, who's none other than him, for him, there is no veil at all. So this Pramatra Chaitanya, that veil covering this is completely gone. So the knower, known, and the object to be known, all of them merge together. They become one. For us, we are still wading in that place that I am different. You're not able to see yourself as the object to be known, and the whole experience of knowing. So there is that difference. That is why we are able to see the separateness everywhere. This Dvaita Bhav is there.
So beautiful to meditate upon this one sentence. Pramatra Chaitanya and Atma Chaitanya. We just have to remember.
So it is the consciousness which is conditioned, the one that is has the upadhis covering it. So it is not the unconditioned consciousness which is covered. That is always self-effulgent. It cannot be covered by anything. But what is covered is this conditioned consciousness.
Conditioned consciousness, which is always associated with the dukkha and
With
sukha.
anatma. Anatma. It is always associated with anatma. Dukkha samyoga is there, so strong that dukkha samyoga is there.
Correct.
So what we have to do is do that dukkha samyoga viyoga, that dissociation, that can happen only in the mind. It is not like a physical separation, like what we learned in chapter 6. So it's only the sword of knowledge, only through knowledge that can be
removed.
And for that you require a mind that is prepared, a mind that is prepared by dropping out all these raga dveshas, the mind that is pure and still. In that mind, actually, when that mind is so prepared, even that vritti jnana, that little, the shastra, whatever the shastra is saying, those words will automatically become, they will help you get there. That Brahma, what is that? Brahma Bhyasa is what we read like yesterday, 2 days ago, right? Where tad chintanam, tad kathanam, you're constantly thinking about that. So you're at least yoked to the Atma Chaitanya, even in your thoughts, even in your actions and everything. Then slowly that vritti jnana itself will dissolve and you just recognize that you are nothing but Atma Chaitanya.
So well
anyone
explained.
wants to add anything? Dr. Savita, Percy G, anyone else? It's already 8:28 today. Yeah.
Shall I read further?
Yeah, you can read further.
Yeah. So then what is covered? The verse says lokaha. Loka is defined as that by which something is known, experienced. Lokyate anena iti. If that is so, is it the unconditioned consciousness, Atma Chaitanya? Or is it the consciousness conditioned as a knower, Pramatra Chaitanya? That is indicated by the word loka. Consciousness is never covered. We have seen that. Therefore, loka here means the knower, pramatra chaitanya, the one who recognizes an object. It is only from his standpoint that there is covering. What is covered for him is the nature of Atma. It is not understood. All understanding is for the knower. Therefore, it is from his standpoint that we say the nature of Atma is covered by Maya, by ignorance. Yeah, here the Swabhava, nature. It is mistaken for a doer and enjoyer and therefore someone subject to birth and death, etc. The whole thing is an error on the part of the knower who is consciousness essential. That very consciousness obtaining as the knower is covered by ignorance. Deluded, the person does not recognize me. Mudhaha na abhijanati mam. Being deluded, the person does not recognize me. Naturally, when the mind is totally covered by Maya, a person is deluded and does not recognize me. The external world, the physical body, and so on are not deluded, nor is consciousness Atma. There is only one thing in this world that can be deluded, the mind, Antahkarana. All delusion resides there. Loka, the consciousness conditioned by the mind, called the knower, does not know me. That knower alone is deluded, nothing else. Therefore, he does not know me. Mam na abhijanati. Abhijanati is a very good word here. Janati means he knows. Abhijanati means he knows properly. Na abhijanati means he does not know properly. All devotees know Ishvara in some form other than themselves, as another individual located somewhere in the world as Paroksha. The Lord says the whole world is me, but a devotee looks upon it as something different from me. Even though I am his very Atma, he does not recognize that. On the contrary, all that he recognizes about me, I am not.
Jai
I
Gurudev, Bela.
repeat,
Yeah, Bela,
yeah,
I can take over, Bela.
yeah, kindly, kindly, Brahmaraj. I can still read for 5, but you can go ahead. I
There
can
was a little
continue sharing.
break. Yeah, I will just read that part one more time.
Yeah, yeah.
From Abhijanati, right? Yeah.
Yes, Brahmaraj, you can read from there. There
Janati
was a
is a
break.
very good word here. Janati means he knows. Abhijanati means he knows properly. Na abhijanati means he does not know properly. All devotees know Ishvara in some form other than themselves. One second. As another individual located somewhere in the world, as Paroksha. The Lord says, the whole world is me, but a devotee looks upon it as something different from me. Even though I am his very Atma, he does not recognize that. On the contrary, all that he recognizes about me, I am not. Only one thing is there, Brahman. No history, no biography, no problems, only Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It was like that before, it is like that now, and it will always be like that. But that he does not know. And not knowing me like this, he also does not know himself. He knows only what he is not. After saying, I am, he will relate an elaborate history and will add psychology to it by bringing in the subconscious or the unconscious. Therefore, he has a variety of histories and they are all valid because he does not know me. Mam na abhijanati. He knows me, but only well enough to commit a mistake about me. You know, these words are so powerful. I will actually read this one more time. This abhijanati is a very good word here. Janati means he knows. Abhijanati means he knows properly. Na abhijanati means he does not know properly. All devotees know Ishvara in some form other than themselves. As another individual located somewhere else in the world, somewhere in the world as Paroksha. The Lord says, the whole world is me, but a devotee looks upon it as something different from me. So the devotee is seeing the world as different from Ishvara. Ishvara is separate somewhere else, and he's seeing the world as separate from him. Even though I am his very Atma, he does not recognize that. On the contrary, all that he recognizes about me, I am not. Which is in the sense, he's talking of how we recognize Ishvara. Some of us recognize him as Krishna and Vrindavan with the flute, all of that. Only one thing is there, that is Brahman. No history, no biography, no problems. Only Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It was like that before, it is like that now, and it will always be like that. I think these three lines actually can be reread so many times just to make that point clear that there is only Brahman. There is no history, no Puranas, no Bharatam, no Bhagavatam, all of that. Just imagine there's no history, no biography, no birth of Krishna, no birth of you, me, nothing. There's nobody born, no problems. All the anathma that we look at, all the so-called problems of the world, no problems. Only Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. No Mahabharat also. No whatever, Kauravas, Pandavas, nothing. Only Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. It was like that before. It is like that now. And it will always be like that. But that he does not know. And not knowing me like this, he also does not know himself. He knows only what he is not. After saying I am, he will relate an elaborate history and will add psychology to it by bringing in the subconscious or the unconscious. Therefore, he has a variety of histories, and they are all valid because he does not know me. Mamna abhijana. He knows me, but only well enough to commit a mistake about me. So beautiful. When I was reading this, I was just thinking about how we are caught up in our dream world, and it is that we think is true. Whereas Krishna here is talking of that Brahman, which is the only thing that is there. So similarly, when all of us go to Gurudev with all our little worries and whatever problems, he must be, he's in that Brahma Jnana state. He must be thinking, it is so frivolous. We're just getting caught in that dream world, and we're creating histories and problems and stories and even we're making a mistake about seeing him properly, even Ishvara properly. Even to mistake something, you must have some knowledge of it. You must see the rope. Only then can you mistake it for a snake. Similarly, Atma has to be known in some way before you can commit any mistake about it. And it is always available for one to commit a mistake. Atma is always self-evident, nitya aparoksha, evident enough for the buddhi to commit a mistake uniformly. This part I didn't actually quite understand. So in order to make a mistake, you must have some knowledge of it. So we must have had some knowledge of Atma. But then it is not complete knowledge. It has to be known in some way before you can commit a mistake about it. So the question is, if that Atma was known, then how come there is this this ignorance that is veiling it. I think when we had asked Nana about this, if I remember right, he was talking about how in the womb, the person actually gets to see, he has a glimpse of knowledge. But the moment he's born, that Avarana Shakti of the Maya comes in and he forgets all of that. And he plunges into the world. I'm not sure if anyone else remembers that better. So I think that is that knowledge of Atma is known in some way. It is there at the back. It is Nitya Aparoksha, but we are not able to perceive it because that Pramatra Chaitanya is covered by this Yoga Maya.
Yeah, Gurudev, and we are
like when you're in the fetus form, you are suffering inside, with all that liquid around and all that. So you are looking for emotion from that. And then you'll pray to the God and you say all that, I acquire this knowledge. I don't know exactly. Atma is always self-evident, Nitya Paroksha.
Otherwise, there would be this Jagadandhya Prasanga, no? Because if he was not self-effulgent, not ever shining, ever radiant, then the whole world itself is not there. It is because of that consciousness that we're able to. So that little aspect, I think, is that we know Atma in some way.
Yeah, the Atma is the one, make everything function, right? That consciousness. But our mistake is like we think we're doing everything, right? So, but then I kind of missed the part you were talking about earlier. So your question is about Atma is always self-evident, which is what we read in the previous verse or something, right? With the experience, how we.
No, my question is, Atma is self-evident, that is okay, that is fine. There's no dispute over that. But even to make a mistake, even to mistake something, you must have some knowledge of it. So the question is that some knowledge that we have, how come it is only some? How come it is not complete? Even if you have some knowledge, how come that, how is that veil of ignorance covering that? When does that happen? So that is the little.
That question of ignorance is the one we don't want to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has no beginning.
There is no way we can figure that out. So that's not the question.
Correct.
But then again, when did we know we have an Atma or Brahman? That's a knowledge that we are trying to acquire, right? I mean, in the sense, but obviously, I'm not sure what to answer your question. Maybe we have to ask Nana again.
Jai Gurudev. We just read that this knowledge, the consciousness, it is conditioned by the mind. So that little knowledge which we have about Atma is because of that, with the help of the mind, we have known some part of the consciousness, the intellect. Through intellect, we knew some part of the consciousness, and that little awareness is there, because of which we have this knowledge, and due to that knowledge, you know something, and then you do a particular thing or you see something, and it's not that you are always right. You can make a mistake. maybe I'm not able to express, but it's that you have that awareness, that knowledge, and because of that little knowledge you have, you decipher something, like you make a picture of it, or you have that you can like you can, in this case, you have that glimpse of Atma, because there is some awareness is there, which is due to our mind consciousness, which we just read in the previous paragraph. Deluded the person does not recognize me. This loka which we read, that loka is because of that loka only we have this awareness, and we try to decipher what is Atma. And because we are not able to properly acknowledge it, or so in that way we make a mistake. We relate it to other things. We are not able to see it complete in a complete fashion. Like my expression is very poor.
No, very beautiful. No, Dr. Savita. So we have this Atma Chaitanya, which is Sachidananda, and then we have this awareness from where the awareness itself comes. But we being veiled by this condition, that condition, that loka is there, that conditioned consciousness, that is the mind, that moves away from this Atma Chaitanya. That awareness is there, but then that awareness is going outwardly towards all the anatma, to all the senses and everything which is not Atma.
It is not Atma.
What Swamiji said, right? So it's going away to everything else which is not Atma, and that is the mistake that it's committing.
Yeah.
Then, so there is that awareness. So that is that knowledge that we have. There is that, without that awareness, none of this is possible. But that awareness, instead of getting rooted in the Atma Chaitanya, in that I am, that capital I am,
capital I, yeah.
I am, instead of keeping there, the I am is going outwardly, and it is becoming the small I am. I am the body, I am the mind, I am the ego, I am insecure, I am, therefore I want to make a living, I want to be happy, not knowing that you're happy. So that is that awareness. Thank you for that beautiful explanation. And it is always available for one to commit a mistake. Because of that awareness only that we make all these mistakes. Because of that, the Atma is always self-evident, Nitya Aparoksha. So he is, it's like he's the observer standing behind and watching the whole drama. Like, I think later we read about the magician and the magic and how he creates the magic. So the Atma is like the magician who is making this magical world appear, and the whole tricks and everything. And we are like that awareness which is conditioned, that mind that is conditioned. We are looking at the whole magic and getting lost in that magic, not knowing that we are the magician ourselves. Fine. Evident enough for the buddhi to commit a mistake uniformly. Then we keep compounding it through experiences. The mistake gets more and more complicated. That is what we call living. There is one fundamental error followed by a variety of others. These entrench the original mistake. It is buried under all the other mistakes you are now busy correcting, but it is always there. This is so profound, no? So the original mistake is that we do not recognize ourselves as the Atma Chaitanya. We get conditioned by this upadhi, and then we look at ourselves as everything other than the Atma. And we are trying to correct all that there. No matter how many times you correct, unless that fundamental mistake, that fundamental connect with that Atma Chaitanya is not rectified, no matter how many janmas you take, you will have to keep coming back again and again. Therefore, no matter how much you keep correcting the secondary mistakes, you do not arrive at the right solution. It is like solving an arithmetic problem. You commit a mistake in the first step of simple addition, then you commit a mistake in multiplication, then in division. Afterwards, you correct the mistakes in multiplication and division. But you do not think you can commit a mistake in addition because it is such a simple thing. Therefore, you get the wrong answer. The same is true with samsara. The original mistake is not corrected. Before continuing the seeking, the first step is to find out if am I a seeker? Do I have to seek? If that is not answered properly and you keep on correcting every subsequent step, it is meaningless. So actually this paragraph is telling us, last few lines is telling us that you don't need to be a seeker even. You are what you're seeking. So the original mistake is not there. For before continuing the seeking, the first step is to find out if am I a seeker? Do I have to seek? If that is not answered properly and you keep on correcting every subsequent step, it is meaningless. It is like we are begging. We have the treasure with us, but we're going on begging outside with arms, putting our arms like a beggar and we're begging outside. Uniqueness of ignorance of Atma. This ignorance of Atma is different from ignorance of an object like a pot. There are a lot of things in this world like a pot which you do not know and are therefore objects of your ignorance. Atma, however, unlike a pot, is not an object of ignorance or knowledge. It does not have its basis in Yoga Maya. And therefore, like a pot, it cannot be an object of Yoga Maya or ignorance. It is self-evident and it is the basis of both ignorance and knowledge. Let me read this one more time. Yeah? This ignorance of Atma, uniqueness of ignorance of Atma, the ignorance of Atma is different from ignorance of an object like a pot. There are a lot of things in this world like a pot which you do not know and are therefore objects of your ignorance. Atma, however, unlike a pot, is not an object of ignorance. Not an object of ignorance or knowledge. It does not have its basis in Yoga Maya. And therefore, like a pot, it cannot be an object of Yoga Maya ignorance. It is self-evident and is the basis of both ignorance and knowledge. So Atma is the basis of Yoga Maya herself and of knowledge. Being covered by Yoga Maya amounts to this. The knowledge which has to take place in the buddhi is now covered or obstructed by the products of the three gunas. The obstruction is not for Atma. It is for the mind where the knowledge has to take place. Therefore, we say that there is ignorance of Atma until the knowledge takes place. In other words, it is there until it goes away for good. So therefore, the ignorance of Atma is unique. It is not like ignorance of any other object in the world. Any other object in the world is is because of Yoga Maya, whereas Atma is the basis of Yoga Maya. So it is self-evident. So you cannot objectify it. It is always there, Nitya Aparoksha. Only that in that mind, because of that ignorance, we are not able to see. So it is only, and this buddhi, the knowledge is covered or obstructed by the products of the three gunas. It's only the mind. Uniqueness of knowledge of Atma. When we say knowledge is obstructed by Yoga Maya, what do we mean by knowledge, jnana? Two meanings are possible. One is pure consciousness, jnapti swarupa jnanam. The other is that by which a given object is known, that is the instrument of knowledge. Jnayate anena iti jnanam. This is vritti jnana. Now, consciousness is not obstructed by Yoga Maya. As we have seen, that would mean that there would be Jagadandya Prasanga. That is, the world would not be recognized. Therefore, the only other thing that can be obstructed is Vritti Jnana, that by which something is known. This knowledge, which removes ignorance and error, takes place only where a Vritti can take place, that is, in the Buddhi. There is no other place where it can occur. Atma has to be understood only by the mind. Manasa eva anudrashtavyaha. Not, let me know if you want me to go through anything. Anyone is, want to say anything, please stop and then you can say. You can.
Due to this vritti jnana, I think we make mistakes, right?
Yeah, very right. That is why the vritti jnana should become the Brahma jnana vritti, with all these affirmations that the Shastra is giving us, all the Brahma Sutras. So when that becomes that, like that Brahmarakita Nyaya is there, no? That vast is, it goes on and on and on, buzzing around that the larva, which is there inside the worm, which is there inside that cocoon. It goes on and on buzzing. That is the only thing it sees, nothing else. And then slowly it also takes the form of a wasp. Similarly, this vritti jnana, right now our vritti jnana is all about the world, all about anatma, all about the karya karana sanghata, body, mind, sense complex. Now, slowly with this knowledge, with Shastra Jnana, with this Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, we convert that Vritti Jnana slowly. We're transforming that Vritti Jnana inside. All those history, biography, problems, all those things that we go on, slowly that is thinning out, and you hold on to just the Brahma Vritti Jnana. And that slowly, even that will disappear, and then you will become that Jnapti Swarupa Jnana. That becomes one pure consciousness. So therefore, it is only in the mind that it can happen. Therefore, if you remember in the introduction to Gita, Swamiji says, it is only a human being can evolve and can get this knowledge of Atma Jnana. Therefore, getting a human birth is such a blessing. A dog or a cat or any other animal does not have this buddhi that this vritti jnana can happen. They only lead a very mundane life, as in it is action reaction, and they're coming from the space of just what is that called? It's a step less than. They only have a mind. They don't have this buddhi. They don't have this discriminating capacity in them. It is only human beings that have this capacity. And making use of this evolving higher, maturing emotionally is the whole the whole journey. Not understanding the Shastra, people interpret statements like yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha to mean you must transcend the mind, etc. What is said there is that along with the mind, the words come back having not accomplished the Atma, that is, having not objectified the Atma. Atma is not available for objectification by a vritti. You cannot relate to it as you would to an object like a pot or a tree. You relate to the object of a vritti as this is the object. I am the knower of this object. Can you relate this way to a vritti for which the object is Atma? Can you say this is Atma like how you can say this is pot? If you can, then who are you? This knower-known difference, which is always present between the object and the knower, does not exist with reference to the nature of the knower. Then how do you ever recognize it? So this yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha is from the Taittiriya Upanishad. The word object is put within quotes to indicate that Atma can never be an object of our perception. I think earlier we had read somewhere in the beginning that the Ghata Vritti, in order to recognize the pot as a pot, you must first have the Ghata Vritti. The Vritti itself becomes, there are two aspects for recognizing anything in the world. One is that Vritti Jnana, and the second, that the awareness that you know that you're seeing that pot. Whereas with respect to Atma, there is only one. Only the Vritti Jnana is required. That the recognition, I am not able to express exactly what Swamiji had expressed, but he says there are two steps with respect to recognizing any object in the world. With respect to Atma, there are no two steps. There is only one step.
Yeah,
There is,
like in the when you say the pot, the pot is, like us, like a being, right? But then the space in it is the Atma. The pot is broken, the pot goes away, but the space is still there. So that is what the space is connected with that Atma. That Atma is not destroyed, so it's always there and eternal. But whereas when we read about cause and effect thing, the clay is the cause for the pot, and so in that aspect, cause and effect. But we need to recognize clay as something the same way, like all the examples you give, right? Like the gold ornaments. The ornaments are like necklace or the bangle. They are in different ornaments, but you can say it's all made of gold. But then necklace does not become gold. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you you can make a necklace from gold, but then what to say, you got to recognize all that is the cause and effect. Like that's that's what that appearance basis comes up, when we read about it. But when you talked about the pot, I felt, I never thought of it as like we think about that space part of it. We always think about the clay, so I mean, at least in my thinking, and now I found that that space also the fact here, the Atma.
Yeah. So this, thank you, Dr. Mara. Here we're talking of recognizing a pot, as an object, whereas Atma cannot be an object of your, cannot be an object like a pot. Because then, if you say Atma is also like a pot, then who are you? Who is the one that is seeing this Atma as an object? So, the knower-known difference merges. There is no separateness between you, the one who is seeing Atma, for instance, and Atma. They merge. Whereas with a pot, with reference to a pot, you can always say the pot is separate from me. Because I am seeing the pot, I am the knower of the pot, I am recognizing the pot. So the pot is different from me. With respect to Atma, you cannot objectify the Atma. Then how can you ever recognize it? We'll see that. A special pramana, a special vritti, akhanda akara vritti is required. Any vritti leading to knowledge can be produced only by a means of knowledge, a pramana. To generate a vritti that will remove self-ignorance, our known means of knowledge, perception and inference will not work because they reveal only objects. Only Shabda Pramana can create the vritti that destroys ignorance of the subject Atma. Atma is not created by the Pramana. It is because of Atma that the Pramanas can even be operated. It is the vritti that is created. And the Shastra is the Pramana which can create this new knowledge, vritti jnana, by a sentence that reveals the truth of the knower. This sentence, Mahavakya, creates the vritti that removes the ignorance of the nature of the knower. That vritti is the akhanda akara vritti. So, any vritti leading to a special pramana, a special vritti, akhanda akara vritti is required to recognize this Atma. So, any vritti leading to knowledge can be produced by only a means of knowledge, a pramana. So, we have different pramanas. We have perception, inference will not work because they only reveal only objects. Only Shabda Pramana can create the vritti that destroys ignorance of the subject Atma. Atma is not created by the Pramana. It is because of Atma that the Pramana even is or can be operated. It is the vritti that is created. And the Shastra is the Pramana which can create the new knowledge, vritti jnana, by a sentence that reveals the truth of the knower. This sentence, Mahavakya, creates the vritti that removes the ignorance of the nature of the knower. That vritti is the akhanda akara vritti. Akhanda akara vritti means that between the object of knowledge and the knower, there is no difference. Akhanda akara vritti means that between the object of knowledge, here with respect to our understanding, it is Atma, and the knower. The knower here is that Pramatra Chaitanya, which is that conditioned consciousness, conditioned by that Yoga Maya. There is no difference. What is common between Ishvara and the Jiva is limitlessness, Akhanda. After negating the differences, the Shastra says, Tat Tvam Asi, that Ishvara is you. This creates a vritti that brings about the understanding that the meaning of the word you and the meaning of the word Ishvara are the same. What abides as the basis of everything, Jiva and Ishvara, is one consciousness. This particular recognition brought about by the vritti takes place in the mind, destroying ignorance of the fact that Atma is akhanda, limitless. So that ignorance that Atma is akhanda, that ignorance is removed by this akhanda akara vritti. Before that, the knower is covered by yoga maya and therefore does not recognize his limitlessness. When the mind is under the spell of the gunas and their products, there is no possibility of this vritti jnana. I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Hence, the Lord says, being covered by yoga maya naturally, people are deluded and do not recognize me. Mudaha ayam mam na abhijanati. If anyone wants to say or wants to add on, please go ahead. What is not known? Shall I read this further? We'll complete this and we'll go to that chapter 6. Yeah. There are 2 more paragraphs. What is not known? Bhagavan says, one does not know me properly. Who is that me? It is Aja, the unborn self. Certain things are not born, but they die, like ignorance. It cannot have a beginning. If it began, something must have been there before it came into existence. Something that is opposed to ignorance must have been present before it. That can only be knowledge. Where there is no darkness, there is necessarily light. Similarly, where there is no ignorance, there is necessarily knowledge. But if knowledge was there, how could ignorance come about? Therefore, we understand that ignorance has no beginning. Can we also say it has no end? No. Ignorance of Atma or anything else has no beginning, but it ends when you know what it is. Atma also cannot have a beginning. If it came into existence at a given time, someone must have been there to note it. Otherwise, how do we know that it was born? If someone was there to observe the birth of Atma, he had to be a conscious being. But that is Atma. Atma cannot simultaneously exist and observe the termination of its own non-existence. And when Atma does exist, there is no possibility of its having had a non-existence and subsequent birth. Therefore, Atma has to be Aja, unborn. Atma is thus beginningless, but unlike ignorance, it is endless. It is avyaya. It does not change. Na vyeti iti avyayam. It has no decline, no destruction. Krishna says, they do not know me as the one who is not born and is never destroyed, the one who is eternal. I mean, these things, paras can be read and reread so many times. It's so beautiful how logically it is arrived that ignorance is beginningless but has an end, but Atma is beginningless and is endless. And this is what we have to recognize. And Krishna says, they do not know me as the one who is not born and is never destroyed, the one who is eternal. So is Bhagavan also covered? This is a question here. If Bhagavan cannot be known properly by all beings, because he is covered by Yoga Maya, then is his nature also not covered to himself by Yoga Maya? After all, that Yoga Maya is his Maya. Without it, he cannot function. Maybe he is also covered by it and he does not know himself. Shankara refutes this argument. He says that the difference lies in the fact that Ishvara is the Mayavi, the one who wields this Maya, and Yoga Maya is his Upadhi. All three gunas of Yoga Maya are glories for him. They do not bind or obstruct him in any way. The ancient Indian Mayavi, as reported even in Shankara's Bhashya, is a type of magician who creates a spell. His magic is not simply a sleight of hand. He makes you see things that he apparently produces and then makes them disappear again. Everybody else is under the spell, but the Mayavi is not. If he were, there would be no magic. Similarly, Ishvara with his Maya is the greatest magician. He creates all these names and forms which, if analyzed, do not exist at all. All that is there is consciousness. But still, the names and forms appear. That is the magic. Therefore, Ishvara is a magician, all right, but he does not come under the spell of his magic. All the jivas, however, are very much under the spell. To break it, what should one do? Just as one goes to the local Mayavi and asks him what the trick is, one must seek the Mayavi, Parameshwara, to find out what the truth of this Maya is and who this Mayavi is. That is what the Shastra does. It tells us who this Mayavi is and what this Maya is. It is like a magic book that reveals the secret of what looked like a great trick. You expected to discover something miraculous and complicated. When it is explained, it looks so simple. You feel foolish. It is the same thing here. Once you know, all your seeking seems foolish. That I was seeking is itself a foolish thing. To know this, you go to the Mayavi and ask him to explain what it is all about. That is what the Lord explains in the Gita. This is so beautiful. Ishvara, the Mayavi, is not affected by his Maya. That is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara, which the Lord explains in the next verse. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is like the magic book wherein is explained the secrets of the simple thing that you are nothing but the Mayavi. You are none other than the Mayavi himself. And in that it's explained how the whole creation is such a magic trick. It's a spell that is created. But in this, we have to come out of this, we have to wade through this by doing karma yoga, by doing dhyana yoga, by meditating, by cleansing ourselves. And then you get to understand that you are nothing but the Mayavi. So we'll stop chapter 7 here. If anyone wants to add, reflect on this.
This line that Yog about the Ishvara, this is so beautiful. Like Yog Maya is his Upadhi, and all the three gunas of Yog Maya are glories for him. And these three gunas make us so like we are always entangled in these three gunas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right. So very right. So that is why he says, you will expect to find some miraculous, something very complicated in that book, magic book, when you go to the Mayavi and ask him for this, to unravel this mystery of this magic. But it is so simple, which is why he says at one point, he says, it is so easy. Sulabha, he says, very, very easy. But on the other side, he says, it is difficult. The difficulty is to get there. But once you get there, once it gets unraveled, you feel it's such a simple thing. So easy it is to get Paramatma, to be in that space. But to get there, that is the whole difficulty. And the seeking stops, actually. You'll feel foolish. Why was I seeking in the first place? Well, that does not mean we should stop doing what we're doing, because the Shastra is this book. The Shastra is the one that points to this, points to the Mayavi and explains. So that pramana, the Shabda pramana is so necessary that for that akhanda akara vritti. Yeah, I can only feel grateful for all this knowledge. The only thing that comes to me right now is just that gratitude. Even to be shown the path, no? Even to be shown the path, even to be on this path, it is such a big blessing. Just imagine, otherwise we're so getting lost and committing those mistakes in the world. We're creating those histories and the biographies and the problems, and we're trying to correct that multiplication and division when the initial arithmetic that we did was wrong. We said, I am different, Ishvara is different. I am different, the world is different. Where that arithmetic is only one. There is only one. That fundamental error we make, and we're getting entangled, like Dr. Savita ji said, in the Yoga Maya and all the variegated tapestry of the three gunas. And we're so lost in that. Slowly have to untangle all that, knot by knot, come back and say, it is not 1 + 1 = 2. This 1 + 1 equals only 1. That is the arithmetic of Vedanta. Tattvam asi. You are that. This is really very beautiful. So, anyone wants to add anything?
I think we did Tattva Bodha and Atma Bodha before doing the Gita.
Right.
And that has also helped us quite a lot in understanding this better.
Isn't it? Very right.
Since we gained this knowledge through all of that, like Tattva Bodh, Atma Bodh, anything you see in a given day or talking to people, you identify, oh, here is this Brahman, here is, even people say, okay, I'm not agree, I don't think I want to go into philosophy, like when you talk about Brahman. There are people who don't want to even talk about it, not even look into it, I go for a walk early in the morning. When I see that whole area, like it's in the hills, the trail, water and everything. I was telling her, like, we were reading something that it's like a poetry, like God has written a poetry, like that way the whole, this, the universe is formed. So, so then we were talking, oh, I didn't want to get there. Like, so then you leave it. I didn't pursue it. Okay, so people are entitled to it. But then on the other hand, it comes to our mind time to, it's not time to time, it's all through the day, whenever you're seeing things, you are able to connect to Brahman and the tattva about Parameshvara, like Paramatma, like you are seeing
that essence of Him in everything that we're doing to every day. That I feel that every day.
That's so
That
beautiful,
nice.
Dr. Mara. That is
No,
uh,
sure, go ahead. Like, remember, I kept asking, what is this knowledge means? What is it? What is it? Like the other day, I was talking about that Panchakosha. Okay, then when the layer is coming, I'm able to meditate, like saying Aham Brahmasmi, and you after reading one chapter of Gita and things like that, it's you can revel in it, and at least I'm feeling it. And then some kind of chill like kind of going through whenever, when you hear the bell, or you're when you even listening or the song or something in the video, like while I'm cooking, I try to put something. You can feel it as if like you have that connection with it. And as I see, like everything, like tree or the water, oh, how nice it looks. And you try to enjoy the nature, you're not just walking, in the way, and you see the animals. And I really, I'm happy, I can feel that happiness inside me, and it's really nice. And it's because of this knowledge, like that we are gaining and trying to see it in everyone. Like, yeah, even when some difference of opinion comes, okay, you try to okay, calm down, okay, no, we shouldn't be doing that, and we have to treat the other person also the same way. And so you kind of have that calmness coming in. I still have a long way to go, but at least I'm seeing.
no, but that's beautiful, isn't it? That transformation is so beautiful.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Like I kind of feel it, and everything I see, like it's and I feel it. Everything is you. I'm nothing. That's the feeling I'm getting all the time now. Oh, it's everything is this Brahman. Everything is God, and we are there to do our job, and that's it. So I'm really happy, and I'm really glad to attend this class all the time. And I will be next week. I'm going to Florida, so I'm not sure our time change.
Timings will be different.
Yeah, so I'll try, but then if not, I will catch up with you guys the following week.
No problem. Yeah, I'm not sure whether we have time for chapter 6.
In this shloka which we did today, like it's the what I interpreted, like that what is said by Atma has to be understood only by the mind. That it's written Manasa eva anudrashtavaha.
Anudrashtavyaha.
Anudrashtavyaha. So it's so correct that if mind would not have been there, then no vritti, no, like how the mind is an important tool to gain this knowledge of Atma. One way you are having that vritti, and you are not, you make mistakes, and another side they are saying that this, with the help of the mind, you attain that, you read the Shastra, you have that pramana, and you create new knowledge for the Atma. So mind is acting both ways, no? It is making mistakes also, and it is correcting also itself with the help of the Shastra. So ultimately, it's the mind only, with the help of that knowledge and everything, that you understand this concept of Atma.
Right.
Yeah.
That is why Uddhared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadaye. Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhuhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. So your mind is your friend as well as your enemy. It is your friend if you take it towards Atma Rama. Take it inwards and contemplate upon the Atma and all that. Whereas it becomes your enemy if you're going towards Indriya Rama. You're going outwardly. Whereas if you are yoking it to the Atma Chaitanya, there's Akhanda Brahma, Akhanda Ananda Vritti, then it becomes your friend. So both ways the mind can be used. But it is the mind alone. Manasa eva idam anudrashtavyaha.
And this is how that the mind will abide in did I say the opposite? This is how with the help of the mind, you
abide in the Atma.
Mind abides in the Atma, right?
Yeah. Which is why all the karma yoga that we are required to do is for this mind, is for the cleansing of this mind, for that antakarana shuddhi. Otherwise, see, every raga, every dvesha we have is entangling us in the anatma, in the outside world. So even the trace of this raga, dvesha, even that like Nana said, when you put garlic in a vessel and you remove the garlic, even after a few days, that smell of the garlic is still there. Even that smell also has to be completely removed. Then the mind becomes so pure, like that crystal. Then that light of the pure consciousness, Atma Chaitanya, will reflect in and through. As long as we have those specks of raga, dvesha, they're all like that malina, is all like that impurities. So the antakarana shuddhi requires us to practice karma yoga. And then for that stillness in the mind, you might have antakarana shuddhi, but there may still be that restlessness in the mind. So for that, bahiranga sadhana is the karma yoga, antaranga sadhana is the dhyana yoga. So when you meditate, you are stilling that mind, that instead of that lake having a lot of ripples, the lake settles down. That beautiful stillness and that pure mind, the light of the self shines forth. Just like that light in a lamp in a ghata, it shines forth. There doesn't require anything else. It is self-effulgent. So the whole thing is coming into perspective, no? All the chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna spoke of in the third chapter, Karma Yoga. Now in the sixth chapter, Dhyana Yoga. The seventh is such a beautiful, I mean, every verse, like what Bela so very nicely said, that her grandmother told, you pick up any verse, it is like you're yoking yourself to this knowledge. It will take you further and further. Like how we want to, like how Percy ji wanted to read further and further, trying to uncover the truth. Seek his answer.
Like, when you're reading each chapter, like trying to read the meaning sometimes, it's interesting to read it. And today I was doing that Vishwarupa yoga.
11th chapter.
11th? Yeah. So I think, it's 11th chapter. And it's so nice where he again, he explains Arjuna is the one who got this Vishwarupa Darshana. No one else got that one. He's the one got that. And then he says, this is my real Rupam. People don't know me like this. And again, he goes over this knowledge point, that he's the not with that form and Rupa name, and he's this Brahman, So it's so beautiful. Again and again, he has said that. And the first time when we did all this, it didn't, occur to me, or, now that we are reading a little bit more thoroughly, and that point is, it's awakens in me and in all of it. Yeah. So I think as we are reading again, time and again, we're going to get a lot of
clarity. There'll be a lot of clarity.
Right.
Why this needs to be done punah punaha.
Yeah. And it's also nice that as Nana said, everything, like we should keep reading that. Sometimes I miss it to chant given day, but chant it again and again. But then it's nice to read it at the same time reading the few lines of that meaning, it really helps.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether all of us are chanting I think all of us are chanting every day. When you're chanting chapter 7, chapter 6 and all that, now you can actually, as you're chanting, you're getting the meaning also without having to read the meaning of the whole verse. As you're chanting, you're getting the meaning. That is what Nana said will happen. Ultimately, it is as if when Krishna, Bhagavan Uvacha, it is like you yourself become that, that the Krishna aspect comes in. And I can experience, I think I can have a little inkling into what Nana says, because he's been doing this all 18 chapters every day for the last, I think now 25 years. I can't even imagine that the impact that it'll have. Reading one chapter a day itself is giving you the ananda. Just imagine doing all the 18 chapters with the meaning. He understands the meaning of everything. So the ananda that he must be getting, it's like those in Taittiriya Upanishad that is given how sense pleasure, this is how much, and how Brahmananda is, how Devas experience Ananda. So in those, it keeps on magnifying in amplitude. So I can really imagine how Nana is in that space. Yeah, I think today we will stop here. We will, it's already 7 minutes past our time. We will take up verse 24, 25 tomorrow. I think all of us must have read it, no? We'll read it. If you've not read, let's read the PDF and come tomorrow so that it'll be easy for us to understand. So, shall we close in here? Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you.
Thank you.